You lie in the dark, the room around you quiet in that modern way. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that feels engineered rather than earned. No creak of wood settling, no distant dog barking at nothing, no neighbour's radio leaking through thin walls. Just the low electrical hum of devices on standby, the faint pulse of the refrigerator, the occasional sigh of the ventilation system breathing for the building. Your body is tired, but your mind drifts restlessly, circling the same empty space. You reach for your phone without thinking, thumb flicking through light that feels colder than it should. Faces, names, fragments. Nothing sticks. A notification appears. Someone you barely remember has tagged you in a memory from 15 years ago. You open it. There you are, younger, laughing in a grainy photo beside people whose names once lived in your mouth like daily bread. You read the caption. Their name is written casually, as if it still belongs to the air. For a second, the screen blurs. Not from tears, from sudden weight. Why does that name still land like this? You close the app. The phone drops onto the mattress. You stare at the ceiling, featureless, indifferent. The restlessness is familiar now, almost companionable. It follows you from room to room, city to city. You tell yourself it is just the times we live in. Disconnected, accelerated, everyone broadcasting, no one truly heard. But deeper, beneath the explanation, something older stirs. A question you cannot quite shape. You turn onto your side. The pillow is cool. You close your eyes and let the mind wander back, not to solve anything, just to drift. You remember walking home at dusk when the streetlights were still new and hesitant. Porch lights already on. Windows open because no one worried about security the way people do now. Voices carried. Always voices. A mother calling her son in from the field behind the houses. The name rose and fell, soft at first, then firmer. It travelled past your own gate, brushed your ear, continued on. You knew who was being called without needing to see. You knew the tone meant dinner was ready, that the boy would pretend not to hear for another minute before running. You knew because the name had history. It carried stories you had overheard since you could walk. How he once fell into the canal and came up laughing. How his father taught him to whistle like a bird. How his grandmother still braided his hair when no one was watching, even though he was 12. That name was not just sound, it was location. It was relation. It was proof. You breathe slowly now, letting the memory settle over you like a thin blanket. The body relaxes a fraction. Not because the ache is gone, because it is being allowed to exist without argument. In those neighborhoods, names traveled the way wind moves through a valley, unhurried, touching everything. They moved from kitchen to kitchen, from courtyard to alley, from old men sitting on string cots to women hanging laundry on lines strung between houses. Gossip, people called it later, when the word had already turned sour. But back then, it was simply conversation. It was the way the community breathed. Someone was sick. The news moved house to house faster than any messenger. A pot of soup appeared at the door without being asked for. Someone's daughter was seen walking too close to a boy from the next mohalla. The aunties discussed it over tea, weighing the boy's family, his habits, his prospects. Judgment was passed, yes, but so was protection. If the boy turned out to be kind, the same mouths would later say, "See, we were wrong. He is good to her." The wind carried correction as easily as warning. You feel it now, lying here, the strange comfort of being watched. Not surveilled, watched, seen. Your mistakes were known, your kindnesses too. Nothing was private, and somehow that made everything safer. You could not disappear. You could not be erased, even when you wanted to vanish. After a fight, after shame, as after a broken heart, someone would still say your name. Someone would still look for you. You shift again. The sheet whispers. You are not trying to sleep yet. You are letting the contrast sink in. Here now, you can vanish for weeks. No one knocks. No one calls unless there is business. Your name appears in inboxes, in group chats, in tags, but it arrives without breath behind it. It is weightless. It carries no temperature. No one knows if you laughed today or wept. No one knows if the milk in your fridge has gone sour or if you walked barefoot across cold tiles at 3 in the morning because sleep would not come. You are free, and freedom, it turns out, can feel like floating in space without a tether. You let that thought rest too. No need to judge it, no need to fix it. Just feel the pull of what once was. Not because it was better. It was not. Children died of fevers that antibiotics would later tame. Women laboured without hospitals and sometimes did not rise again. Men drank away wages while wives hid money in tin boxes under floor mats. Droughts came, floods came, landlords came, the police came. Life was hard in ways that left marks on bodies and in eyes. Nostalgia lies when it pretends otherwise. It polishes the past until it shines like something innocent. But the past did not need to be innocent to give you a place. It gave you a place anyway. Your name was spoken in anger sometimes, spoken in disappointment, spoken in exhaustion, spoken in tenderness, spoken in jest, spoken in prayer. Spoken when no one else was listening, the way old people murmur names of the dead so they will not be lonely on the other side. Every pronunciation added a thread. You were woven in. Unraveling would have taken effort no one had time for. You exhale, long and slow. The room feels larger now, or perhaps you feel smaller inside it. Either way, the edges soften. You let the mind travel further. Imagine, not a fantasy, just memory dressed in quiet, an afternoon thick with heat, cicadas loud in the neem trees. A woman sweeping her courtyard with a broom made of date palms. She pauses, leans on the handle, calls her daughter's name. The sound leaves her mouth and enters the street. A boy on a bicycle repeats it without thinking, smiling. An old man watering his plants nods as if answering. The name reaches the tea stall at the corner where men sit on wooden benches. One of them chuckles. She's probably hiding in the mango grove again. Another says, "Let her. She's still a child." The name continues until it finds the girl, curled in the crook of a low branch, book in hand. She hears it, sighs, closes the pages, climbs down. Not because she is afraid. Because the name reminds her she belongs somewhere. That belonging was not always gentle. It could pinch, it could bruise. It could demand things you did not want to give. Time, obedience, silence, smiles you did not feel. But it was real. It held you, even when it hurt. Here, in this time, belonging is optional. You can opt out. You can curate. You can ghost. You can reinvent. No one will chase you down the street calling your name until you answer. No one will sit on your doorstep until you open the door. Freedom again. Choice again. And yet, the body keeps asking, where is the tether? Where is the thread that pulls me back when I drift too far? And you do not answer the question. You let it float. Let it drift like smoke from a dying fire. Your breath has slowed without effort. The restlessness is still there, but it moves more slowly now, like a river reaching flatter land. You think of how names used to gather at night. After dinner, when lamps were low and voices softer. Someone would mention a name from years ago, a teacher, a friend who moved away, a cousin lost to partition. The name would be spoken carefully, as if waking it gently. Then stories followed. Laughter, silence, sometimes tears. The name was passed around the circle like a shared cup. Everyone drank from it. Everyone added a drop of their own memory. By the time the fire was embers, the name had been repaired, rewoven, made whole again. No one feared being forgotten, because forgetting would have required collective amnesia, and the collective refused. You feel the echo of that refusal now. It is not loud. It is quiet, steady, like a heartbeat under skin. You do not need the past back. You do not need the hardship, the lack, the narrowness. You only need to know that the instinct was once answered. That once there was a place where your name mattered enough to travel on wind. That once you were carried. Your shoulders ease. The mattress cradles you more deeply. You are not fighting anymore. You are allowing. Allowing the nostalgia to rise without shame. Allowing it to crest and fall. It is not betrayal of the present. It is simply the body remembering what it once knew, how to be held in a net of voices. The net is torn now. Many threads are gone, but some remain. On in a phone call from an aunt who still says your name the old way, stretching the vowels like dough. In a childhood friend who messages late at night, remember when, and writes your name without emojis, without abbreviation. In the way you sometimes whisper your own name in the shower when no one can hear, testing if it still fits your mouth. Small threads. Still there? You let them be enough for tonight. No need to mend the whole net. No need to catch anything. Just rest inside the knowledge that once you were caught, once you were held, once the wind knew your shape. Your breath is very slow now, almost no sound. The city fades further. It becomes a distant tide. You imagine, not effort, just gentle permission, the last light of day moving through a lane you once knew. Shadows long, air cooling. A single voice calls a single name. It floats, touches walls, touches leaves, touches sky. Then quiets. Another voice answers, then silence. Not empty silence, full silence. The silence that comes after everyone has been located, after everyone has been named, after the wind has done its work and settled. You feel it now, that settling. It begins in the feet, moves upward, heavy in the best way, heavy like earth, heavy like sleep that has waited patiently. No need to solve where home went. No need to decide if it was ever truly home. Only need to feel the echo. The echo is enough. It carries you. Down. Deeper. The names drift past one last time. Not urgent, not loud. Just passing. Like clouds. Like embers cooling. One by one they fade. Until only your own name remains. Soft, unspoken, unnecessary. Because you are already here. Already held. Already home in the quiet. The last ember glows once. Then lets go. Darkness folds over you. Not cold, not empty. Warm. Known. Still. Sleep comes now, like wind returning to the valley after a long journey. Like breath after breath. Like nothing left to carry. Only rest. Only now. Only this.